Welcome to the Incredible Hulk Crammed. This one is kind of the 2008 black sheep of the MCU as it stars Edward Norton. Before Mark Ruffalo kicked in, but there is one of those post-credit scenes. Wait, did I mention that Nick Fury was at the end of Iron Man, so it still counts? Let's go. Our green-themed intro title suggests the backstory of a science experiment that temporarily turned Dr. Banner into something dangerous and out of control that ended up hurting the one he loved and getting him in trouble with General Ross. Well, it's been 158 days without incident, hidden away in a Brazilian flaw for Bruce Banner, who's staying off a radar and learning to control his emotions by controlling his body. He works off a grid in a bottle factory next to a supermodel, but one day accidentally contaminates production. This is serious business to him, but someone somewhere is going to have a very memorable day. Scumbags get creepy, and Banner can't help but intercede. Although he does avoid conflict, he's doing blood work experiments in his spare time in an attempt to cure the effects of Hulkamania, but still without success, and an anonymous online contact that's been aiding his research called Mr. Blue suggests that he send a little blood to them to also try to help with his gamma poisoning, and desperate for results he gets shipping. Meanwhile, Stan Lee ends up on the receiving end of that tangy soda, and at the Pentagon, General Ross is alerted and he's hot on Banner's trail. He puts an extraction team together led by Emil Blonsky, a Russian-born Royal Marine on loan to the US. It's a snatch and grab operation, but Banner's mysterious benefactor may have made some progress with his blood work. He's going to need some more data surrounding the original lab incident, but that means going back to the US to retrieve it. The extraction team get into position with their tranquilizer guns, but Bruce is already on the move with Emil. In hot pursuit, the chase leads along the rooftops, but Dr. Banner must keep his heart rate down. He knows it's Ross and bumps into those factory scumbags to help make his day even harder, making it at night to the factory. He's caught and takes a beating while the extraction team observe, but it's too late and he transforms into the Hulk, who proceeds to make short work of everybody. Too thick-skinned for darts and only angered by live ammo, and yet Emil remains relentless but barely escapes alive, and the Hulk makes an exit. Looks like Banner keeps a picture of RN with his stuff, but General Ross says she's no longer a factor. Blonsky would like an explanation as to what the hell just happened, but it's time to go. However, once home, he keeps pushing on the general, so Ross lets him stay on the hunt and explains that he tried to recreate an old World War II super soldier experiment employing the peaceful Dr. Banner under the lie of it just being a radiation resistance project, but he tested it on himself, realized the danger he had become, and fled the scene to stay out of military hands. Blonsky, however, loves the idea of super serums to be a better fighter, and Ross gets him on board as a test subject. Banner wakes up in the jungle all the way over in Guatemala and gets a lift into town. He ends up begging his way just over the border in Mexico, desperate to stay off for raid, and keeps moving until he makes it all the way to a university in Virginia in order to creep on his ex-girlfriend and cellular biologist, Dr. Elizabeth Ross. She's the general's daughter, and she's dating someone else. He finds an old friend to shack up with and dresses up as a pizza delivery guy in order to bribe his way past Lerno and into the university labs, hoping to retrieve the data from his fateful experiment, but all the records have been erased from the system, and so his anonymous contact Mr. Blue can't help him any further. Elizabeth pops in for a late night dinner and catches sight of Bruce, but he knows that he can't endanger her anymore, even though it's clearly a big deal for her, so she just drives around Virginia in the rain for a bit until she finds him on a bridge, wanting to help with his search for a cure. She saved a copy of the data before the army wiped it and kept it secret from her father, and Banner explains that he can't go back to the army for help because Ross just wants to use his blood to make a weapon of war, so he crashes over for the night and both are on each other's minds. Meanwhile, Ross unseals some of the off-brand experimental serums from the World War II super soldier program, but didn't quite manage to make another Captain America, and gives an extremely low dose to Blonsky in a painful series of injections. Next day, Banner is set to leave, but it's too late. The army are on him. Blonsky is keen to test himself out, but for now he's on reserve and chased back through the university. Banner swallows his data and Arwen shouts at her dad for being a dick. Banner is sealed in position and gassed, but it's the sight of Elizabeth in trouble that sets him over the edge, and he transforms again into the Hulk. He starts to make short work of the army and the 50 caliber Humies, but Emil couldn't be happier. It looks like that small dose of the serum has allowed him to retain his humanity whilst being faster and stronger than ever before, being able to almost keep up with the Hulk before luring him over into the path of some sonic cannons. They almost have him, but the Hulk destroys their tech and Blonsky gets a little too cocky before getting splattered like a bug. Then a helicopter gunship comes into